are some new creatures waiting to greet hikers on the Harris Cat Trail at the Harris Center in Hancock.
It's a great mountain for families to hike, and to have these kind of whimsical, magical creatures along the trail, I think just makes it really exciting for kids. And they don't really know where they're going to be on the trail. They just know, oh, keep your eyes open for a dragon or a snake or a salamander. And, you know, it's sort of like a treasure hunt in a way.
They're the handiwork of retired physician and wood carver Jack McWhorter.
So you almost get into it almost like a Zen-like state. It's very relaxing.
Jack took up the hobby after inheriting some old wood carving tools from his father. He took classes and was hooked. But up until the Harris Center project, all his whittling was done in his workshop.
This whole carving on the mountain that I've been doing all came about because I had gone up with the trail clearing group with Eric Masterson and Rick Hansen to help clear off for better views on the top of Scooterkey Mountain. And on the way down, a tree limb that they had cut to open up the trail, which had fallen down, blocking the trail, they said, McWhorter, what do you think of that? What do you think you can do with that? I said, what do you think it looks like? And I said, it looks like maybe a dragon to me. And that was the beginning of that.
That downed maple tree soon began to breathe fire. Jack started in July and would haul his tools up the mountain early in the morning before the hot summer sun made the work impossible, often carving with an audience as hikers safely passed by.
You have to accommodate what you find there, because that was a living organism not too long ago. In fact, the tree was down but still had a couple of leaves on it, so it was green wood that I was carving. But it was, you know, you could get the cares of the whole political turmoil that was going on, the infections, the pandemic that was going on. Get it out of your head for about 4 hours before you had to come back and face the real world again.
The project was a nice distraction, not just for Jack, but for the people looking to safely get out and enjoy the fresh air.
They go up, they come back down again. And everybody was so happy to see it and so enthusiastic about finding something like that on the trail that it was really very satisfying.
So satisfying that Jack didn't stop at the dragon.
Then after he finished the dragon, we were joking around, what are you going to do next? And as we were coming back down with him, we saw a tree that had fallen, and I think I said, I think that would be a cool snake. And now there's a snake there. And then he just finished salamander. So I hope he keeps going. I hope he keeps carving.
In many ways, what was so rewarding was, you know, when I started this whole thing, I really started as a challenge. You know, could I do this? Challenge myself. Could I do this? As I went along with the dragon, I was finding, hey, this is not just a challenge, but this is fun.
Now the trails and his woodland creatures are covered in snow, and he's chipping away in his Hancock studio, wondering what his next project will be.
There's two hard things to determine when you're carving. One, what you're going to carve next. And then the hardest thing, of course, with any carving, and I think painters will tell you the same thing with painting, is when do you stop? There's always something you can try and improve on, and you can keep going and keep going until you practically whittle the log down to a piece of a toothpick. So at some point you got to stop. Well, I think, you know, wood carving to some extent, unfortunately, is a dying art. Okay, and I would encourage people to wood carve. I find it very relaxing. I've enjoyed it immensely.
Quinn Morissette is an artist who has carved his own piece of nature.
Most of my other sculptures were about this scale as this sculpture behind me, you know, kind of more human scale or animal. This one was huge. I think it's nearly 10 feet tall and 40 feet long, so big project.
The Berlin native was chosen to be an artist in residence, creating a sculpture to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the White Mountain National Forest.
I proposed these 3 ideas, and the concept was to use a 100-year-old tree that had fallen on the National Forest. And there was one that fell at Dolly Copp Campground. I brought in 3 sketches, and one of them, it was logs cut from the tree into cookies, so short slabs. And then the last one was this huge spiraling shape, which everybody loved, right? Because the golden ratio kind of represents growth and the passage of time. It's how tree rings form, and it's just a pattern that's all over nature. So some people from the Forest Service really liked that and said, yeah, do that. And I was like, yes, this is the one I loved. And then I had to figure out how to build it.
The construction was no easy task, but Quinn was up for the job.
I guess what got me into the trade that I'm doing now, though, is my grandfather. He was a millwright. He worked in the Groveton paper mill. And, he was just this really industrious kind of guy. And he loved to blacksmith and weld and do woodworking. And I would always go up to his cabin in Groveton. And he showed me how to do all those kinds of trades. And I just got obsessed with it.
The sculpture at the Dolly Cop Campground took months to complete. And Quinn hopes it leaves a lasting impression on everyone who visits it.
Their goal was to protect the health of the forest and the diversity and productivity so that, future generations could enjoy it. And that's me, I'm the future generations. So that was kind of my thinking with the sculpture there, is I wanted to pay homage to both the forest and the National Forest as an organization.
Quinn is now in his own studio, designing furniture that channels his love for nature.
Things are very high tech, obviously, and I want mine to be high touch. I want them to be very tactile and have a lot of texture and, kind of capture that spirit of being outside in the woods. I'm really trying to, in my work, inspire people to, find that connection with the outdoors no matter where they live, find that connection with themselves, because that's what I'm trying to do through my work. And if I can share that, little bit of joy that I'm finding in making furniture or making sculptures with other people, I'm happy at the end of the day.